Hello, folks, and thanks for watching True Stories with me, Sherry Weens. I hope you guys are all having a great, safe, happy end of 2020. Just when we thought we were clear of some of these COVID virus stuff and that, penetrating all around us, we suddenly are going backwards yet again and furthermore. The last update that I sent with you guys, we did going back into the orange zone, if you remember. And if you want to hear where we're at now, stay tuned. As so many of you know and are already dealing with as well, many of our favorite things to do have been halted, suspended, ceased, basically stopped everywhere. Winnipeg and surrounding areas are going into code red. And what that means for us is that all the bars and the restaurants are going to be closed for nothing more than delivery and pickup. I know I'm French, I talk with my hands. I'm sorry. The retail businesses, folks, they're reduced down to 25% capacity. Churches are going to be reduced down to 15% capacity or 100 people, whichever is the lower number. Gyms are going to require that if you're using the facility that you wear your mask during your workout. Movie halls, concerts, those are all closed. All sporting events, recreational activities have been suspended. Non-urgent surgeries and elective surgeries are suspended, as well as hospital visits. However, they're visiting that on sort of a case-by-case basis. In Canada right now, we've had about 231,000 cases with coronavirus. Now, 193,000 of those cases recovered, which is amazing. We've only had 10,150 or so deaths. Manitoba, where I live specifically, we've had 5,600 cases. Recently, it's spiked. We've seemed to have some gatherings where people aren't following the rules, and there were some spreading of the virus. So honestly, 480 cases in one day. So with the spike, the government's decided we're going to go backwards. There's going to be suspension of everything that we like to do, or we like to go to, or we enjoy spending time with, Now, I recently had the opportunity to experience how the new doctor process goes. I was dealing with some pain. As you all know, I suffer from chronic pain, but this was a different kind that was coming from a different place, and I didn't understand what was going on. So I went down to the walk-in clinic because I had heard you were able to see a doctor once you got there. So I went down there and I spoke with the receptionist, who informed me that there was no seeing of the doctors right there. There was nothing that they could do for me right there. What they could do is take my information and have a doctor contact me. They set up a time, they set up a date, and I was to wait for that phone call. So that happened. I got the phone call. I explained the symptoms to the doctor over the phone. That doctor, who wasn't my family physician, it was just the doctor in call for that day, she expressed to me that she thought that she could prescribe something for me that could help sort of intermittently until I could get in to see the doctor, and that she would provide some notes in my file to allow me permission to go and contact my doctor and make an appointment. Whereas my family physician doctor's receptionist will see that those notes came through from her and my phone call visit, and set up the appointment with my actual doctor. So I finally got in. It took a couple of weeks, but I finally got in to see my family doctor. And of course, like I said, the first physician over the phone had done a prescription. All I needed to do was go in and pick up the prescription. Now, having not spoken to my doctor yet, and it would only a phone call doctor, I figured I'm going to wait until I speak to my own family physician. So I did end up going in and seeing him and, getting what I needed to get done physically wise. And, he informed me that the prescription was okay to try if I'd like. And, I ended up needing a revisit, to which he set up right there himself a date and a time that worked with me. And I went back for my secondary visit, and that was that kind of thing. So, interesting process. It's not, for us Canadians, we are used to being able to just go into the doctor's office if something's wrong and explain the issue and situation and see our doctor pretty much relatively soon, like within a week kind of thing. So this is very abnormal, new procedure, and I hadn't gone through it fully like this yet. When I had to visit the hospital to go in for some blood work, I was met by a security guard who was at the door that wouldn't allow me into the hospital until I was checked for any flu symptoms of COVID, if I had been around anybody who had been positively tested, if I was waiting for test results, a bunch of questions before you're even able to go in. And at that point, there's still a limit as to how many people are allowed inside the lab because of how many nurses you have and people waiting to get in for their blood work and their testing. So you would hear them interacting with the lab through the security, telling them whether or not there was enough chairs and how many more people they could take in. And you just had to wait either outside or in a lineup in 6 feet of distance before you could go in to have any of your testing done and your lab work done. Once I got down to the lab, though, it was still a wait because of the slow process that it takes to do some of these things. It still was a wait time. So interesting process. Update on COVID for me here personally dealing with this. So I did want to share the update with you guys. Now, the other thing is some of you know that I manage a local restaurant, and I have to abide also by the coronavirus rules and the government regulations. It is law now that if you're in a public place in Manitoba, you have to be wearing your mask. Mind you, they haven't really gone about putting any consequences in place for anybody who's not abiding by that. So it is kind of it's your choice, but we're telling you should, but it is still your choice because you can't really take away the First Amendment right of freedom of speech, freedom of will, and all of that by telling people what to do, right? So it's a really tricky fine line situation that everybody's in. But my restaurant has a new service we started. It's called curbside. So because the inside of the store is going to be completely closed to the public unless you're picking up or taking out, there's going to be nobody in the restaurant dining or staying in, which is going to prevent some of the cost of waste from, coffee and cups and things like that, and drink machine, right? Those things aren't very high in costs, but nonetheless, they do affect the business, right? So our doors are going to be closed to inside service, but we are still going to be available to the delivery services that come around, like Dash Delivers and Uber Eats and things like that, Skip the Dishes that are out and about. Those people are going to be able to come in and pick up your order and bring it to you for obviously a fee of delivery, right? Other than that, folks, we're all in this together. I don't know how many times I got to say it, right? But it is the truth. We are all in this together. We're all affected by this together. And there is no country around the world that isn't dealing with this right now. So thank you guys for, being online together and associating and trying to bring some cheer into each other's lives through video, through do-it-yourselves, through learning new things, maybe a new language. There's so many things that are being done online now, from church assemblies, all kinds of new ways to communicate. There's all kinds of celebrities and shows that are starting to come about online, so you're able to still interact and maybe even pay a little bit towards using that service to have a little bit of that in your life, right? It certainly does suck that we're going backwards with this, but most of you in other places in the world are already sort of there. We are sort of lately coming to that situation, so most of you are already dealing with that. If you're in North America and the United States, there's been curfews and all kinds of restrictions. So 2020, man, I can't wait for it to be done. I don't know about you, but I'm a little leery on what 2021 is going to look like at this point. Are we going to be able to ever enjoy life like we used to? Are the children that are growing up in this day and age going to know normalcy with going trick-or-treating, with you know, having sleepovers and birthday parties? Or is everything gonna be masked and changed, and this is just gonna be the new way of the world, and we all just have to get used to it, right? Very, very interesting. The last thing I wanted to share, these restrictions will be in place for minimally, I can't talk properly, minimally 2 weeks. So I will keep you updated as to what's going on in a couple of weeks, and we'll see if things have lifted, if they've gone back to normal a little bit, or if it's gotten even worse. So stay tuned, folks. I thank you guys for watching True Stories with me, Sherry Weens. And hey, if you have any comments about this, if you have some new restrictions or lifting of restrictions, maybe you're in an area that they are, you know, sort of going back to normal a bit, tell us about it. I'd love to know where you are. I'd love to know what you're dealing with. I'd love to hear some feedback from what's going on around the world from all of you. So I appreciate your comments. I read them all, and I will respond to you. So if you're going to comment, you're going to get a response. So thank you guys for watching, and much love. I hope you guys all have a great rest of the day. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon for another True Story with me, Sherry Weens. Bye for now, folks.